One of the advantages of Zoom, yeah. Let's see. Well, I suppose, why don't we go ahead and start? The first order of business is the meeting minutes from March. Has everybody had a chance to look at those?
Yeah, they were excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought I'm good with them.
Yeah.
Anybody
same
want to?
here.
Okay, if
I
we call
I
it
move
good,
we accept them.
sounds good.
Second.
Okay, it's unanimous. Whoopee. Okay.
All right.
The next thing was cataloging and mapping pollinator habitats in Concord. Christina, were you working on that? I forget.
That's me.
I think that was Isabel. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
me.
yes.
And I've been getting responses. I haven't done a lot with it because I'm still just gathering information.
Yeah,
I also am trying to understand how the mapping works. And I wanted to, maybe you can put me in touch with somebody, Mark,
okay,
who's, done the mapping kind of thing.
okay.
But there've been a number of responses, and I'm sorry, I can't, oh golly, wouldn't you know? I think they're gonna dig up the street in front of me.
Yeah.
So there've been a number of people who are really doing a lot of it, and there's one person who's done a lot of photography. She lives near the Barrett's Mill pollinator, and she has her own pollinator garden. I can't remember her
okay.
name off the top of my head, but I hope to, get her involved with some of the pictures and the mapping.
Okay, that sounds great. Oh yeah,
I think she's done some work with us on Haywood Meadow as well. She's a very good photographer.
Oh, good,
great.
okay.
But
remember her
I need to
name?
look up her name as well. I can't remember it. But Delia would be familiar with.
I don't think this is the same person
Well-
because she's new to town and she has a 3-year-old.
Okay.
okay.
So I think, I doubt, it might be the same, but
Yeah.
more the merrier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, if either of them are interested in joining our committee, we need a member.
Okay, she indicated that she's already, she's got a full plate.
Yeah.
But I'll keep an ear out for a member.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of my friends was going to check. Is tomorrow the conservation coffee?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think she
yeah,
was going to ask there to see if anybody
Okay.
was interested.
Yeah, I
Great.
can't.
My two
that.
neighbors would be interested, but they're both on other committees, so I think they can't do
Yeah.
this as well.
Yeah. Well, the town moderator or the town manager's office said they didn't have any green cards that were helpful for us.
Mm.
So they kind of threw it back and said, see if you guys can find another committee member.
I think we can.
I think so.
Particularly with the cooler Concord coming up, I think we'll find somebody.
Yeah. Here comes Janet. We're all set. Hi, Janet.
Hi, sorry I'm a couple minutes late here.
That's okay. We're just at the very beginning. We've approved the minutes and we're talking about the cataloging and mapping project. Well, I'll be glad to help out with mapping on that, Isabel. I mean, I did that mapping. I did a mapping of beehive survival in Concord a couple of years ago.
Oh,
And
okay,
it was pretty easy. I'll share that with you.
great. That would be good.
Yeah. Let's see.
Hey,
Should we
one
go
one
on?
of the fellows that keeps hives on our place stopped by Sunday and I thought he had his hives pretty well anchored, but they blew over.
Oh, no.
He lost them.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no.
There was
We
a
got
lot of,
wind.
yeah, we've had a lot of wind here too. Oh, man, that's bad.
But Stephen, the mason bees are, the lecture that I listened to from Tufts University, Nick called the beehive, the honeybees, lazy bees, because they don't come out in bad weather, where the native bees come out in bad weather. And cherry orchard had a big rainy season, so the honeybees wouldn't pollinate. So they brought in mason bees, and they had the best crop ever.
Nice. Wow. I remember I used to keep honeybees here, and the variety that there was a fellow named Tom Sisson who put me onto a variety called Buckfast. And this fellow, Father Adam from, or Brother Adam, I forget from, but he was a Jesuit, was it, Pam? Yeah, he was anyway, he bred bees in England, and precisely for the problem of getting them out earlier. But I agree with you. They weren't as hardy as what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, should we move on to that Concord table, the fair table?
So
Excuse me?
if I could do an overview of the Cooler Concord Fair. Basically, they're doing it by sections, not by tables. So we're in the tree and landscape section. And the sustainable people are providing free tree seedlings.
Okay.
I've joined a committee they want to do kid-related activities, and so I've joined a group to make bee hotels.
Nice.
For the kids to do bee hotels. Janet, you've been a part of that as well, haven't you?
Yes, I actually was in a meeting last night with the Concord Can Steering Committee about this. They're going to be at a different table. But yeah, I think we're going to do, well, I entered this saying I would do something about landscaping practices, and I'm still in touch with Bob Andrews, who's with the environmental team at First Parish, who's been working on landscaping issues. My original understanding of what we were doing was something like things that are good for the bee or pollinators, things that are bad for the pollinators. And then there's this kid project. So I think among the things that would be helpful for pollinators would be some good landscaping practices. So we're trying to work up a one sheet, very simple, easy peasy stuff.
Okay.
That Concord Can's doing that?
No, it's the environmental team at First Parish.
Okay.
I think Mothers Out Front had some interest in that as well.
Yeah.
Concord Can is, just so you know, nothing to do with us, but they're at a different table that is about different kinds of things you can do that are helpful. And the theme is something like be a climate superhero. It's be a climate superhero. And I think they'll have an activity where kids can make capes and buttons and be superheroes. So just so you know what other people are doing.
Excellent.
And
You can, they're going to have somebody I think Brad's going to dress up as a superhero. I think maybe Mark, you could dress up as a bee. Don't you think?
Well, I
Little
could.
dealy boppers.
How about I do have my old bee suit. That's easy. I
Or
could just
Stan,
I could
Stan,
put-
maybe
Oh,
Stan
your
could dress up
beekeeper
as a
suit.
bee. Oh, yeah, you could dress up as a beekeeper and you could chase Stan around who could be a bee. I think that would be hilarious. That would get a lot of a notice, It would,
one thing that I've shown you this, right?
no, but I think that's great. You should bring it.
This is my granddaughter made this. It's crocheted.
fantastic.
She gave it to me. She named it Honey.
Yes.
Oh, that's
So this
sweet.
is- So I figured this could be our committee mascot, if nothing
Oh,
else.
I'm
We like that.
mascot for sure.
But it also doubles as a bumblebee, I think, quite nicely, so we can cover all the bases. Well, I could bring this on that day, I suppose, what the
Yep.
heck?
You're on.
And one thing I thought I'd prepare is, and I might have mentioned this last time too, was a one sheet handout on good practices in terms of pollinator meadows. The stuff, mostly it'll be gleaned from the Sudbury Valley trustees stuff I've shown you, I think. And the fun thing is I finally figured out, I know this you guys are gonna laugh, but I finally figured out how to make QR codes.
Fantastic.
I think I sent you one, and I tried it today and it still works. If you point your camera at that and you punch the button, it takes you right to the webpage that it's talked about. So I think a handout like that will be cool because then people can just use their phone and get right on and look at the stuff. And then they can take the URL and send it to their computer if they want to look at more detail. So and if anybody else wants, QR codes are really fun to make. And if you want, I can help out with that. But mostly point you to how to do it yourself. It's really easy.
Yeah, the only thing I'd caution you on is it depends on who our audience is. And a lot of
Sure.
people of the, with all due respect, the older demographic just are totally befuddled by QR codes. I've seen it. So.
I don't
But
know.
are we doing anything about pesticides?
I think in that we could include some of the pesticide work the committee's already done and any recent stuff. Yeah, I should think we cover both aspects, because part of it in creating a pollinator garden is to make sure that you're, a reasonable distance from any major pesticide amount and make sure that the soil you're developing it in is free of pesticide because it's, it helps. The bees can take a certain amount of that stuff, but you want to give them as little as possible.
Well, the thing is I've seen a friend of mine saw one that showed a dandelion and a dead bee and said the bee it fed on this dandelion that had pesticides and died. And then that was on a Facebook page, so she couldn't forward it to me because it was a group. And then there was another one that showed a dead bird who had eaten a seed. Or they showed the bird and said one seed with the pesticide would kill the bird.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think people that are using treated seed are very careful to get them underground. But I think you're right. The toxicity is there, and I've seen the same citations. But I think mostly with homeowners, they're not going to be using, pesticide treated seed, but we can certainly point that out. Like I could presumably buy.
I think the big thing is people using landscapers who use pesticides.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I think we could. Okay, we'll make sure.
It's
they
also-
Do you have any info on that?
It's also things like Mosquito Joe. They get these mosquito companies and they just kill everything, every arachnid and every insect. They're two different things for those who don't know.
So is there any handout on that stuff?
Excuse me?
Which stuff?
Does anybody have a handout on how to talk to your landscaper or how to screen landscapers?
Well, that's what the environmental team at First Parish is working on. I was on a call a few nights ago with a guy named George Corrette. He grew up in Concord. His father's named George Corrette too, by the way. And he has a sustainable landscaping company. It's somewhere on the border of Maynard and Concord. And he's advocating all the stuff you already know about.
But how do people screen their landscaper? I mean, people on both sides of me, my whole street use landscapers.
Yeah, I know. You've talked to me about
I'm a landscaper, I guess,
Yeah,
but.
yeah. Well, George's comment was keep it really simple.
Yeah.
And the way we're envisioning this handout is to have really easy, straightforward, few in number, maybe like 6 points of things to do if you do your own landscaping. And if you hire a landscaper, things to ask them about.
Oh, great. Okay. So
And
that's
by the
being
way,
covered.
this is not exactly on our purview, but one of the things he said is that gas-powered blowers, leaf blowers, are much more efficient than the electric ones, and he would like not to use them, but there are if you can get your landscaper to stop using other kinds of gas-powered things, that's sort of the easier things, like hedge clippers. It's much easier to use an electric one because you just plug it in, you can use it. You never have to fuss with all the oiling it and whatever else one have to do to maintain it. Anyway, more on that later. I'll get something, and I'll probably end up just time-wise have to send it to you by email,
Yeah,
and then we'll pass it around and
yeah.
go from there.
And one of the things we actually, it kind of relates to the next thing, our committee communications, our website and handouts and stuff. That essentially some of these are going to be handouts that we're going to use as a committee anytime. And I know on our website, with Stan and I and others, we worked on our website last year and the year before, where we added stuff on pesticides and also nurseries that provided pesticide-free plants and things like that. And the Sudbury folks, shouldn't call them Sudbury, but the Pollinator Task Force working for the last couple of years has screened a lot of firms that provide plants, but not so much on landscapers. But there was a fair, well, Stan, you and I were at that fair at the high school,
Yeah,
was it,
yeah.
years ago?
Yeah.
And they had a couple of good landscapers there that
Mhm.
maybe we'll see if we can dig that up. That's something.
Yeah.
That was
Okay,
a great fair. That was really good.
yeah. I think it was just before the pandemic hit. Yeah.
I haven't been in Concord for a month, so I don't know whether the garlic mustard is up and growing.
No, it isn't. It's,
No.
you can see the rosettes, but it's not up yet.
Mhm.
So I had committed to garlic mustard.
You've committed to it. That sounds like a marriage proposal or something. What do you mean?
That- I'm gonna
Details.
bring a sample of what it is and how it's invasive.
Okay. Good. Yeah. That's relevant because, I mean, it's an invasive, and for native pollinators, it doesn't do much at all, being not native.
And it poisons the soil for the,
Yeah,
for native plants.
yeah, for the stuff we really do want. Yeah,
Right.
cool.
Okay,
think, Mark, we had last time
Yeah.
we had raised the question whether we wanted to do anything about the bills that are currently in the House for this. I did actually manage to get an update on where everything is.
Okay,
Only one of them was reported favorably from that joint meeting,
Yeah.
and is now with the Joint Committee on Rules. And
okay,
that is, it's called a resolve to protect pollinator habitat. So it's now called H.4603. They have a new draft of it.
Okay, cool.
And sort of the gist of it is that they're going to establish a special commission to improve pollinator health statewide, and that commission is supposed to report back in a year, I think. And if I'm
That's good.
not mistaken, one of the pollinator task force members from Sudbury Valley trustees may have been there was some announcement from SVT about someone from SVT being appointed on one of these committees, but I wasn't
Okay.
sure that this committee has actually started yet. But anyway,
Okay.
one item has been is moving forward, and then 4 are sort of have been tabled, so sent to study, requiring more information.
Yeah.
And 2 other ones, the glyphosate pesticide one, the 2 glyphosate pesticide bills are going back to the Environmental and Natural Resources Joint Committee on May 12th.
Okay.
So I'm not sure, I mean, I can minute these, just so we have an
Yeah.
update of where they are, but I'm not sure how useful it'll be for the Cooler Concord fair right now, unless, I mean, I can put together a summary.
I
I think that having it available if people ask what's happening, I think it's very good.
I think it's very relevant. Yeah, this stuff
Yeah.
moves very slowly through the legislature, but on the other hand, if people get a hold of their legislators and say, we would like to see some progress on this, it always helps.
Yeah, I think in addition to personal actions, people need to understand that some things need to be done at the government level, and it's part of their part of their personal action is to push the government. By the way, Christina, could you find out who on Sudbury Valley Trustees is involved?
Well, I'm not sure that they announced that this person was on some committee, but I'll ask my neighbor.
Okay, if you can find out, it'd be really nice to know that. Thank you.
Okay, I'll make myself a note.
I was wondering, do we want to caution people about use of things like Mosquito Joe and whatever else? Because
Yeah.
do you have any write-up on that, Mark?
I don't. Oh boy, one time I called one of them and I forget which one it was and just asked what they used, and it didn't sound like they were using anything. At least they weren't. How can I say this? They weren't, whatever pesticide they were using, I was not familiar with.
Oh,
And-
that doesn't sound good. I've asked, and it was permethrin, and they said it's organic. And
Yeah.
I said, that's just dandy. It's still poisonous. Well, the hysterical thing about this is that I understand that some of the mosquitoes actually reside in the trees, and they come down and bite you and go back up in the trees. And so if you kill everything on the ground, you still haven't done what you wanted to. So-
what we could do, I mean, I myself, I use garlic to repel mosquitoes, and it works pretty well. I mean, we're lucky we don't have a house that's terribly infested, but we are in the woods.
So we do, we've gotten some sort of lemongrass spray that you hook up
Yeah.
to your hose and sort of spray the
Yeah.
perimeter.
It's
Not perfect, but it does something.
Yeah, I think one thing I learned in all that beekeeping years was that insects have a much stronger sense of smell than people. And so that, well, for example, I use DEET to keep deer ticks off I have a pair of boots I always wear when I'm out in the garden, and I just give them a shot of DEET every day on the boot. And I rarely see a tick. Usually it would be if I actually went into some shrubbery and one came onto my clothing some other way. And with mosquitoes, like I say, garlic seems to repel them like mad. And so I think we could probably provide decent help for folks on how to avoid ticks and how to reduce their exposure to mosquitoes without having to use any chemicals at all. Just using, well, I guess DEET is a chemical. And I understand actually there may be some other non-DEET products that repel ticks. I don't know what they are, but I have heard talk of it.
I know that Deborah's sells various sprays. I don't know how
Oh,
effective they are.
It might be fun to do. I know this sounds a little crazy, but we could put these materials on, the white flag technique for ticks. You take a piece of felt, you run it across the grass and you pick up a bunch of ticks on it. Well, we could put some of these materials on part of the felt, and then see if the ticks avoid it or not. We could sort of do a scientific study or semi-scientific study and just report our results.
It's interesting. Some people I know were much more attractive to bugs than other people, and I wonder what the chemistry is there.
I've told you about how my bees went after me one time, Steve. I had to slam my
That's
house.
when you were bad to them. That's all right.
I was. Well, what was funny was I was bad to them right before a thunderstorm, because I had to get the hive together fast. And then 2 weeks later, here I am helping my friend put luggage in his car, and the bees come after me and not my friend, because they said, that's that guy. We remember his spell.
I think they do. I wonder if NAFTA, the organic ag people, would have information on how to manage, mosquitoes and such. Do you have any faith in them, Steve?
Yeah, I do. Sorry.
Steve,
But
do you think NAFTA would be helpful in get a handout about organically managing mosquitoes?
Who?
NAFTA,
You mean
the
NOFA?
organic farmers.
Can you tell us, you keep saying NASA and then they do space rockets. What are you
No.
saying?
Right.
No, I think what you mean is NOFA,
NOFA,
Northeast Organic Farmers Association. Yeah.
NOFA, yeah. I don't know that they get into that so much, but we could inquire.
Okay,
I mean, most places just tell you to make sure you don't have any standing water.
Yep.
Right.
which
that-
Concord has, so that's useless. And we
Yeah.
need it. Yeah.
Well, even around the farm here for fly control, we try to be careful to eliminate any places that puddles can form, because that's where they breed.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing for both mosquitoes and flies and a
Yeah.
lot of pests. Yeah, preventive.
Mark, what do you think about telling people about tick tubes?
Well, I think it's a good idea. I know we've always been a little bit, we've been a little concerned because we use permethrin in tick tubes. And if the cotton is dragged into a mouse's nest, which is the goal, then when the mouse abandons the nest, a lot of times bumblebees want to use the nest. And so,
But how long, what
Imagine
what
that would
is
be
the
successful.
half-life of permethrin underground?
don't know. That's a good question.
Because I assume it's broken down by sunlight and warmth and maybe water, but I don't know which one and, for what duration.
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Okay.
See if I can find out. Let's see.
The other question I had was, deer eat a lot of plants that would normally host pollinators. And so if they eat those plants and those plants are not available, those pollinators may, are going to go somewhere else. So to what extent do we want to talk about deer?
Yeah, on the question of permethrin half-life in soil, according to the web, it can range from 11 to 113 days. And the half-life means that there's still half of the dose left. And the amount of permethrin, for example, in commercial tick tubes is a 4% solution. And I've noticed that a 0.5% solution is still pretty toxic to insects. So I would suppose we'd have to say maybe, a half a year or a year.
Yeah, but then think about it, the mouse, well, you put the tick tube out in, say, the beginning of August or late July, the second batch of them. If the mouse abandons the nest, presumably it lives there over the winter, abandons the nest in the spring, and the bee starts to take up residence in what, May, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, no,
so
probably March, actually. March. or
March,
April.
okay, so you've gone August, September, October, November, December, January, February. You've gone 7 months. I don't know how deep a mouse nest is. If it must be below freeze line, do you think? So, because the temperature is going to affect the rate of the chemical reaction, the breakdown.
I've seen.
What
seen
did you
mouse nests in my
say the
book.
half-life was, Mark?
Well, according to this, it said average permethrin half-life in aerobic soils is 40 days with a range of 11.6 to 113 days. I'm just quoting the web here. It's from the Maryland Department of Agriculture.
And what was the midpoint?
40,
They
average
said,
of 40.
yeah,
Oh.
average of 40, but a range of 11.5 to 113.
Hmm.
I think a way to do this, perhaps, see what you guys think, is that the bumblebees do not distinguish where they're going to put a nest. It's just going to be wherever they find a place. I've had them nest in my wood pile. So maybe they found a mouse nest up in the wood pile. I've certainly seen mice nest inside the wood pile. And I think if you put them around a house, I've made my own tick tubes, for a few years. And I put them around the foundation of the house, and that's where the mice seem to pick it up the best. And I'm guessing that the mice are nesting we're on an acre here. I would guess the mice are nesting on a portion of that acre. But I'm also guessing that there's probably field mice, meadow mice and other mice that are probably nesting that aren't getting any of this because they don't run around the house and pick it up. Now we still have deer ticks at our place, but I think this helps suppress it. What am I trying to say? I guess I'm thinking, I don't think we need to worry about it. I think if somebody uses the 0.5% spray on the cotton that goes in the tube, rather than buying the commercial one, it's just 4%, they probably have a less effective tube, but it probably is effective enough, I don't know. Does that make sense?
Well, for those of us who are lazy and buy the tubes and have
Yeah.
already put them out this season,
Yeah,
I've been doing this for many years now, and I have a lot of bumblebees
yeah,
on my hyssop. So all I can say is I use tick tubes and I have bumblebees. So, and you would
Well-
have to identify them. I'm really bad at identification so far. But
What sort of populations in a typical bumblebee nest?
Oh, that's a good question. It's not like a honeybee where they have tens
No.
of thousands, but I think it's more measured in hundreds for a really happy
Is
nest.
it?
Yeah. I guess I think this is, for lack of better, this is an area we could research, but I think it's like a second order effect. I think it's something that's probably not worth worrying about as much as, say, getting rid of garlic mustard. Or
we probably
to-
need to prioritize especially since it's in the end of this month,
Yeah, and I
Just
think too.
do
other
the
thing-
easy pickings.
Yeah,
The
and
other thing is that they really want this interactive to children.
well, not
So-
the whole thing. There just has to be one table that's interactive for kids. It's a low table. Then there's going to be a tall table or two for adult stuff.
yeah,
Those kids don't get there on their own. They're going to come with an adult. So we can appeal to
Yeah.
them.
yeah. Well, and we can appeal to people to make their own tick tubes. I've had good success making them, and I for a long time used 0.5%, and then I got fancy and started using 2% that I made myself. And if anybody wants some, I can give you some.
2% what?
Pardon?
2% what?
Oh, just a solution that's 2% permethrin instead of 0.5%.
Oh.
But the stuff that's used in the commercial tick tubes is apparently 4% from what I was told. But at any rate, I think they, I guess that not that many people do tick tubes. Like in our neighborhood, maybe out of 100 houses, 5 of them do it at most.
I've never done a tick tube,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Well,
Out of-
I had anaplasmosis. I do tick tubes.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I
serious.
get, instead of getting 3 ticks a week, I get 3 ticks a season.
Yeah.
So I sort of lost track. What do you buy tick tubes?
You can, yeah. They're not cheap. They're
Janet,
like
do you
50
buy
bucks.
'em?
Yeah, I go to Vanderhoof's and I buy them.
Yep.
I'll get a picture up if you like.
Yeah. 'Cause
Nice.
maybe we have a tick tube available for them to
Oh,
see.
I could show you the box of tick tubes. I'd be happy to bring them in.
Yeah. You could bring that in.
Okay, that sounds good. Because I think it still is probably superior to having somebody spray your whole property with something,
Right.
especially if they're using permethrin. I mean, after all.
Okay, can you see that picture there?
Yeah,
Okay, if you go down to Vanderhoof's, that's what you can buy.
Okay.
And they're not cheap, but
yeah.
they're much better to use than getting anaplasmosis. In our neighborhood, we have had anaplasmosis, babesiosis, Lyme disease, and alpha-gal. Do you know what alpha-gal is?
Mm-mm.
It's a
but
mammal, it's a mammal allergy, mammal protein allergy. So one of my neighbors cannot eat red meat anymore, except she could eat grade 8 meat. So she could be a cannibal, but she cannot eat a hamburger.
Okay. Ouch.
How do you use the tick tubes?
You put the tick tube in the wood pile, in a stone wall.
Of where the
um,
mice might be.
Yeah, just anywhere, but you put them in the perimeter. I put them in a perimeter around my house about every 30 feet. It's supposed to be 10 meters. If you had a field you wanted to treat, you would do it in a grid pattern every 10 meters or 30 feet. But I just put it, I kind of have a loop around my house that I do so that I can do gardening in that area and not have to worry about getting ticks all over me.
Good. Excellent.
Okay. I think we should, to keep going, because we've gone on some time here on this. Is it okay if we'll add tick tubes at the fair? And I think we've kind of talked about the next issue already, our communications, or maybe we should spend a little time on that. Any thoughts on that?
I think
whatever
Very
whatever handouts can be put onto the website would be great. Like if you have
Okay.
maybe not like the full handout, but a link to I don't know how easy it is to sort of put links on the handout or on the website.
Yeah.
Like if we have PDFs
Yep.
that could just be linked to for more information.
I think on the website right now, there are a couple of PDFs that are linked to, and I think we could just add to that.
So are there areas, I mean, I was looking at the website and the areas in which sort of how to group what we're looking at.
Okay.
Is there anything that's missing? Because as I look at the website, we have the pollinators at risk and
Okay.
showing the bees and such. How you can make a difference, which is great handout. If we could do that as a handout, that would be nice. Then we
Okay.
have the approved pollinator list.
Isabel, you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I got bad Wi-Fi, sorry. So I think we should do categories.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good.
So maybe we could do some brainstorming for the next meeting. on that.
Okay. Okay. So we'll brainstorm any new categories we want to add to that.
Right.
So
Good.
is this the last meeting we have before the Concord Cooler Fair?
That's a good question. I was wondering if we might want to do one more before the fair itself.
Or at least we need to be in tight communication by email about exactly who is bringing what.
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
Why not?
and everybody should take responsibility for things. I'm very happy to take responsibility for bringing in tick tubes and bringing in something to do with landscaping. But
Okay.
I don't have anything to do with pesticides, Mosquito Joe and all those sorts
Well,
of
hold
things.
on. Let's list, why don't we each list what we're going to be responsible for? And then we'll know what we got covered.
Yeah.
So Janet, again, your list is,
Okay, I'll take care of bringing in tick tubes and explain what they are and how to use them. And I'll bring in some landscaping handout, both for if you do your own and if you have a landscaper, you know what you might want to ask them.
Okay.
I would also, and I can bring in something about deer and how deer destroy a lot of native plants that pollinators would like, native pollinators co-evolved with. We
Okay.
don't have anymore.
Okay.
so I'm gonna be doing the bee hotel
Okay.
and the garlic mustard.
Okay.
I could bring in some pollinator plants.
Okay. Good.
I guess I can bring in a little handout with the current bills.
Okay,
Okay.
Be very happy that.
I was wondering, in the town here, does somebody keep
Stood up there.
a list of the companies that spray within the town? do they have to get registered, or are they free to come in and do what they want?
Yeah, I think they're free to come in. I know Sig and I went to the pesticide, part of MDR a few
Yeah.
years ago, and we tried to look up companies that worked in town.
Yeah,
So what they used, and we've
Yeah.
got some, but it's we didn't get everybody.
yeah. Because it'd be good if there was several companies that there was a feeling of kind of security with some of the town agencies, that they had the list. That would be a good list to put out, rather than people going out just on the their own to try and find
Yeah,
a company to spray. Because there's always going to be a fair number of people in town that are going to get people in to spray.
I'm thinking, Stan, that fair we went to where you and I manned the pollinator table. Remember those guys that were there? One of them did all the work with electric. They were environmental. And Christian, remember Christian Kruger?
Yes. Yeah.
He worked with one of those firms.
Yeah.
I tell
I'll
you
do a
what,
little bit of digging with Delia to find out if there's any sort of existing list.
that'd be good. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, if you could find that out, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, you're up. What are you gonna do?
I've been hoping you guys would cover it. No, well, I've promised to bring a handout with the QR codes on it. Having to do.
And which handout? We gotta be
I
specific.
know. Well, I think what I'd like to do is cover how to build habitat for native pollinators. And that's basically, it would be a handout that would describe what's available from us, a little bit of us on our website, and also the this native pollinator task force with the Sudbury Valley trustees. And I want to just it'll be a little like a half-size sheet with some QR codes on it so people can get to but it'll also have the written out website URL if people want to type it in. And I think, actually thinking about this, maybe what I should do is also go to our website and take that page and put it on as one of these pages so that a person could go to our website from a computer that doesn't do QR codes, but there would be the live links and that would work the same way. So, okay, I'll try to do that. Okay, QR codes. And then so maybe it might make sense for us to meet briefly.
Wait a minute, you haven't finished your list.
Oh, wait a minute. that was a big one there.
Oh, you're gonna bring honeybee, right?
Oh, well, sure. I mean, that's easy, right? Yep. She said, "Do you want to come to the meeting?" Yeah, I want to come to the meeting too. So she'll be there. Will you behave yourself? No stinging. Okay, no stinging. Enough silliness, right?
Love it.
Always welcome in our greenhouse if we want to have a person-to-person one.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're almost to that stage, I think. Certainly the greenhouse is nice and airy.
Yeah, we can open the roof if you want.
Yeah.
okay, so when?
Well, let's think about a date. That's a good idea. We've got the thing is on the 30th, so we've got good lead time. It's on a Saturday. I'm pretty, being retired, I'm pretty available. What works with you guys? Maybe a couple of weeks from now to give us a chance to get our acts together beforehand, but.
So do we want to look at
Maybe-
the week of the 18th? Because that's Easter Monday.
Yep.
And then we have 2 weeks, that's 2 weeks from now, and then 2 weeks to a week to clean up, 2 weeks to clean up what we need.
Okay, how about Wednesday, April 20th? Who can make it and who can't?
What
I'm
time?
okay.
Well, 7 o'clock when we normally meet in the evening,
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
I'm
probably
good.
good.
Oh,
unless you want to have us all over to your house for cookies. in the afternoon and tea under the veranda, under the magnolia on the veranda.
Fun. Well, Wednesday, the 20th is good with me.
Yep, I'm fine.
Okay.
What's the matter, Isabel?
I'm not, I might be going to orchestra, but I can skip orchestra.
Well, would there be
We'll
another
make
day
it
that would be-
Thursday night then, Thursday, April 21st. Would that make you happier?
Yeah,
Okay, who can make it Thursday, April 21st, 7 o'clock?
I'm good.
Who can't make it? I'll put it that way.
I'm good.
Okay, great. Thursday, April 21st.
Sounds good.
Okay, that'll give us about, well, that won't give us, well, that'll give us 9 days.
Yeah, I mean, we'll,
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
that's
Okay.
plenty of time.
Yeah,
And so
okay.
what I'll do is, since I want to put this up on our website to make it work for the thing well, for a lot of this stuff, if we want to put it as a handout on our website, if we could bring our prepared pages or materials. And then as a committee, I think if we vote and say, yes, we think we'll go with that, then we can put it on the website. If we think, well, maybe we don't, then we won't put it on the website, but we can still maybe use it as a handout. But we could, in other words, we can review the materials. And I think if we don't talk about it ahead of the meeting, but just distribute it like we do the minutes, I think it's possible for us to look at these materials before the meeting, without deliberating, without violating the open meeting law. So anything you get ready, just send it to the whole group. And with the proviso that we don't talk about it between ourselves, but just that so we can get a chance to look at it ahead of time.
Yeah,
That's-
that would make
Forgot
things
one
more,
thing.
that would just make things much more efficient if we can sort
Yeah.
of,
Yeah,
go
but-
through each one really quickly.
Yeah. And if I end up in jail, I've really enjoyed this.
No, you're
Uh,
right.
well-
As long as we don't deliberate, as long as we're distributing and then only discuss on the Zoom call, then that should be fine.
Yep. Cool. Okay.
so I forgot one thing. Delia
Yeah.
said that she would order plugs if someone would put them in pots, sell. And so
Sorry, I missed, order what, Isabel?
he's gonna order native pollinating plants, the plugs, and then we
Oh, plugs.
we put into pots. And I said I would do that. The sustainability people are gonna find out whether we can sell things at the fair or not. But so we would be selling those under the auspices of our committee as in conjunction with natural resources.
Sure.
Well, wait a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And if we're not permitted to sell, we can do it at another time. But Steve had a suggestion or an offer a little while ago, didn't you? So Steve, was that just to bring in pollinator plants so we can see what they look like?
Yeah, I think so. A number of farms in town are gonna have them for sale. Day in and day out.
Okay,
Steve,
so
could
maybe you
we-
could bring
could
in
we,
some plants and we could see what, we could say, if we're allowed to sell, we could say this little plug will grow up to be this kind of plant. Isn't that pretty? Or something like that.
Right, we could have some pictures or something to go with them.
Okay, that sounds good.
Can we, is it possible to put together a list, Steve, of the farms that have committed to selling?
Yeah, we could do that.
I think
Well,
that's
That would
on
be
the
really
website.
helpful.
We have a meeting.
No, but this is a
next
new
week, I
thing.
think.
Isabel, this is a new thing, right? That our local Concord farms were going to sell pollinator plants. So I'm not sure it's on a website.
Pollinator
be.
approved list
Oh.
is Hutchins Farms, Marshall's Farms, Season 4, and Bartlett Mill Farm.
Yeah.
Barrett Mill, yeah.
Yeah.
There, sorry.
And are all of these going to be plants that are not cultivars? They're the originals. They're A-OK.
Yep.
No neonics in the soil, et
No.
cetera, et cetera.
No,
Okay, good. Everybody's happy then. Thank you.
Yeah, those ones on the list right now are all organic farms. And I don't know about the cultivars issue. That's a good point.
Yeah, Isabel, do you want to talk to that or do you want me to do that?
Oh, Delia's ordering the plants, so she's gonna make sure they're not cultivars.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
so she's supplying them to all these greenhouses in town?
No, I'm talking about the
That's
ones
separate.
we'll sell.
Yeah. I
Right,
think
but
those are
but a separate
Yeah.
issue, if I understand correctly, is that various greenhouses in town, farmers markets, are going to be selling pollinator plants also. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so are they cultivars or not?
Cultivars, yeah, what, everything's a
Well,
cultivar.
Like if you have echinacea, for instance, you want the original, the one that's kind of pinky purple, it's called Echinacea purpura. You don't want the one that's called Cherokee that's white or whatever. You don't want those fancy ones that they bred. They look pretty, but they don't provide the pollen and the nectar that the pollinators need. So we need the original.
Well, I think maybe the Ag Committee needs a little information on that.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a variety. I mean, like Barrett's Mill said, they're growing a lot of different plants, and same with Hutchins, and they're putting pollinator labels on some that they're attractive, and if there was some other criteria we should be thinking about it, we'd be happy to have that information.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I mean, because like zinnias are great for nectar and such, but they're not native plants.
Well, the zinnias, I bought a mix of pollinator seeds.
Yeah, but
and
they're not,
zinnias were in there.
yeah, they're
yeah.
not a native
Yeah.
pollinator. They're a commercial cultivar.
Yeah. Well, I
Well,
think,
when we come to annuals, I'm not sure whether we have to be concerned about natives so much or not.
no, I don't think you worry about it with annuals so much, but for the perennials you do. And I just want to make sure if we're going to direct people to buying things at the various farms in town, that the farms have sourced them from some, that they aren't selling cultivars.
So
That's
it would
right.
be
We
ideal
have-
if they were selling from the Gagir list, right? If they were using that
yeah.
to guide what
Shagir's
they
got a
were.
good list of, yeah.
Maybe
Like
they
we
can
have a lot of
provide the list and
butterfly-
we can just double check.
We have a lot of butterfly bushes started, and I'm not sure where they fit in.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Buddleia?
don't.
You mean Buddleia?
Pardon?
Do you mean,
There are two different ones. I can't quote them off the top of my head.
Yeah. But I think it sounds like what we should do is put together that list of, like Jagir's list of plants that are known to work really well with native pollinators. And then
I
that-
picked them up from Paul Parent. I don't know if you remember him or not.
No, I don't.
He was a gardener on television for many years.
So we
Nice.
could, Steve, we can send you the Gagir's list of native pollinator plants.
Yeah.
That'd be
Okay.
helpful.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
so will you actually check to make sure that all the plants that we're recommending are not cultivars?
I'll check, and we can label it either way, I guess, but I
Yeah.
mean, people are gonna buy plants, and we can label the ones that are recommended.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because I've gone to Mahoney's and they've got a variety of perennials, but none of those are native. They're all like coneflower America. And if it's coneflower America, then it's a cultivar. If it's just coneflower, then without an additional name, then it's more likely to be a native.
Hmm.
Send that along if you have some information.
Okay.
Great. That's going to be very useful. So we'll plan to meet, let's see. I think I get the feeling that we've covered old business. And some new business too, is that right? Help me out, folks.
Yes, so.
Yeah.
Well, I guess you had for new business information table for upcoming events. That's pretty much covered by Cooler Concord.
Yes,
And then you had testing pollinator habitat, soil, and propagating plants.
yes. Boy, I
If we have,
messed up.
but it's already 8 o'clock, so I don't know.
Why don't we, those aren't pressing. And I think this table, our preparation for the 30th is more important. Should we just put that off?
I
Yeah,
would-
sure.
I don't see any
I would
objections.
agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. We have a visitor. Louis, do you have any comments? Oh, hi, Louis, excuse me.
Lois, yeah,
Lois.
Lois.
All right.
Yeah, I'm back from the last time.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
enjoyed it. Yeah, Isabel came by last time, which was really sweet. Visited my little corner of the world here. My little native. The effort to try to put native plants to not all I've missed, some things I missed on, and the cultivars and nativars was confusing to me, and I kind of learned a little more about that. And thanks for the interest on the ticks today. That was very fascinating.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thanks for coming
Yeah,
to the meeting. And feel free in these meetings, it does say public comment, but frankly, I don't know about you, but if we're off on a tangent and you don't understand it or something, feel free to comment. Because I think in some ways, I was on one committee, we were doing school buses and we actually did public comments first. So we might go with that in the future.
yeah. Some times they do them all at the end, and then some of them do them by each piece.
Oh, okay.
We're
Yeah,
Also-
small enough, just pitch in, I think.
yeah, I think so. Especially since, you know, if there were 40 people visiting, it's one thing, but when you're here, you're essentially a part of the committee.
Well, I guess
Cool.
it's interesting because I had thought I had filled out a green card with an interest in pollinators,
Oh,
native plants and pollinators, but
cool. Do you
I
want to
guess-
join it? Do you want to join this fracas?
at this
We won't
point,
have anybody to give us public comments though if Lois joins the committee.
can I put that on hold right now?
You
I've
bet.
got some medical things to kind of recovering from, so whatever.
No problem.
Well,
And,
Please consider it an invitation.
yes,
Thank Well, if
Yeah.
you find somebody, take them.
okay. Well, for the moment, you're an honorary member. How's that?
Well, I'll show up and do what I can right now.
Good,
And
good.
I'll try to show up on the 30th, but
Oh, that'd
right
be
now I can't make promises because of what health concerns right now, so.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Good, good. Well, thank you. So I guess we'll meet again in a little over a couple weeks on Thursday, the 20th, was it?
21st.
21st,
Thursday,
7
21st
p.m.
at 7 o'clock. So, okay.
And
7 p.m.
before
on
that, we're
Thursday.
supposed to send our show and tell.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. As soon as you
Right.
get it, ready, even if you've got a sort of a drafty looking copy, although we can't discuss it. So feel free to put out one and then say, I've got a better one, but don't discuss it. Okay. Well, thank you all. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
One
everyone.
more-
Fun.
one more
Bye.
Thank you.
question.
Bye.
Say goodbye to. Bye-bye.
I have another question if
So
somebody.
another question, yeah?
Sure. Yeah.
I live like the Concord Housing Authority, and they do have a gardening meeting coming up on the 19th, and nobody here seems to be at all clued into pollinators and native plants. I mean,
Okay.
it's like use all the pesticide you can, use the noisiest pieces of equipment and
Oh,
the
no.
most gas, and then when you trim trees and stuff like that, and what they call pruning, they just take the electric thing and go, like we call them the meatball trees and bushes, and they're clueless that, you know, they need air circulation and things like that. So if anybody has any help or pieces in town that can help me to speak better to that for what's coming up for us. None of the people who work here live in town anymore. There used to be people who worked here lived in town, but no one who works here lives in town. This maintenance doesn't. So there's a very different mindset.
Yeah.
Are you asking for someone to attend the meeting?
I didn't think of that. I don't know. I think at this point, this is going to be the first time that we meet as a garden people. So I think we're
Yeah.
probably just best off figuring out our own stuff, you know,
Yeah.
the first time. But then as we ask questions, I think, you know, having somebody in the bees and people who are, you know, cognizant of bees and all the help that they need.
Yeah. We'd be
I mean,
glad to.
I've gotten to watching the bees, like in the summer, a few times when I haven't felt well, is just sit out on the bench and watch the bees. And they're
Yeah.
fascinating. And
Yeah.
they have these big like saddlebags of pollen, and they almost get drunk and they can't get off the flower to bring them back. I
Yeah.
mean, and I keep reading, and I mean, I just got my membership card. I know some people don't like them, but I got my native plant, I don't know, no, it's the wrong way, Native Plant Trust membership
Yeah.
card. And,
Nice.
you know, I've been trying to learn this stuff for a long time. As a kid, I was part of my dad's nursery business. And even then, we tried to buy plants that were grown locally. It was in Rhode Island. But, you know, things have evolved so much in terms of what we learned and
Yeah.
how to better preserve our natural habitat and all the animals that go with it. So, yeah, I'm learning.
Well,
And if my health clears up, which it's I'm doing much better than I was a month ago.
Okay.
You know, I'll be happy to, you know, show up some more.
yeah.
So thanks.
Okay. If you want, you could email us through, I guess, through the town or
The website.
the website.
I can do it through Isabel, maybe.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You guys. Oh, yeah. You guys each other.
We're neighbors.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. Yeah. Do
Yeah,
that.
thanks to Isabel figuring that out. That was so sweet of her.
Yeah. And
It's nice. I've been in California since. I'm still in California.
Okay.
I did send, Lois, I did send you the town website, and I can print that so that you can present it to the garden people that this is the standard that the town expects.
Oh, see, that's the thing I didn't know. I don't know all the pieces the town has already.
Yeah, well, our website talks about pesticides and pollinators.
Right.
So that's a good start. And maybe you can, by looking at it, see what's missing. That would help us. If there was an
Okay.
area that you think we should have in there.
Okay.
Because you know, we're eager to have it be really useful to the public.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think whoever brought up about the native plants and the cultivars, that's a big discussion.
Mhm.
And most people don't realize what's happening with.
Mhm.
No, absolutely.
And I mean, the cultivars, generally speaking, are flashier.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what they're developed for, but they're useless. I'm in
Right.
Oakland and they've got all of these pear trees and there's not one bee on anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and it's interesting because I'll come across a bush and it's just swarmed with bees and bumblebees, and the rest of the yard is zero.
Yeah.
So.
That's.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay,
for a
well,
great meeting.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the ideas. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay.